What have you printed off there?
So this is all the instructions we need to build a home together on Mars.
But you can't even do that on Earth, so what makes you think you can do that on Mars?
Alright. Hello and welcome to All Around the Board. Today we're going to be playing the cooperative version of Terraforming Mars. You're probably wondering, how on earth are we playing cooperative when that's not an expansion? Well, it's a fan-made expansion, and as you can see here, there's something quite big that makes the game very different. Obviously cooperative, that means we're working together. All you need for this is the rulebook, which I'll post in the description below. And you just need to print out this little sheet. This is just on an A4 bit of paper, so really cheap to print this variant. If I didn't know it was fan-made, I would have thought it was a genuine version or an expansion, because it's that good. I really do recommend this. It's a lot of fun. The game, how we win, is we have to complete all the milestones. We need to get all 3 tracks up, plus the 9 oceans. And we also need to build our card that we're dealt at the beginning. This is like our settlement, so to speak. The other thing we need to do is we need to get something which is called citizens. Yeah, okay, you don't know what they are. They're essentially people that we have to populate in cities. So to win the game, we need to do it within 14 rounds. We get up to generation 14, and if we have not met all of the criteria to win, then unfortunately we've lost. So the reason why I really love this version is the fact that there's a lot of concentration on actually building on the board and less so on the cards. Every time I play Terraforming Mars, I just card, combo, and I never really bother with the board most of the time. I just kind of do card combos. This one you really have to concentrate on cities, and because you need to feed your people, you need to make sure you have forests as well. So what we'll do is we'll quickly go through the setup. There are some changes, so bear with us. We'll go around the board and we'll do it bit by bit. So the first thing we need to do is we need to cover up the awards. Now I just used the award from Venus just to cover up awards, just to remind me they have no purpose. There is no end game scoring in this version. You pop your tracks on as normal, you put your oceans out as normal, and the generation marker will also go out as normal. Now you're probably wondering why we're over there and we're not on the 20. So in this cooperative version, depending on how many players you've got, you start with 60 points and then you divide it by the amount of players. So because 60 divided by 2 is 30, myself and Jade start with 30. Now they're not points in this, that's just for income. Then on your Venus next track, that is as normal. Just get the board out and pop the marker on the left hand side. In front of players, you're going to deal N+1, where N is the amount of players. You pop the corporations in the middle and you're going to choose one. In this game we've already done that. I've gone for the Eco line and you've gone for the Helion.
Yeah.
So they are the corporations we'll be playing. You then need to separate out a list of cards. Now I'm not going to list all of them because they're in the rulebook, but they're essentially the city tiles. You see these ones that are on the outside, the Ganymede, all those ones, and the Noctis City. You take out those cards and we choose a card each from those, shuffle the rest in the deck, and this is going to be the settlement that we have to build as one of the win conditions. This goes in your hand, it doesn't get built straight away. This is my hand, by the way, so this is just something I have to build. I put it slightly separate so I know, and Jade has done the same as well, although hers is face down. And we set up our board as normal and take the bonuses from our corporation. You'll see that we've got our cubes laid out as normal. Our player cubes are out, okay. Deck of cards as normal. But the big change in this particular version is the board that we have printed. As I said, it is on A4. I'm not going to go through what the symbols all mean just now, but for the setup, you just need to make sure you put a cube of a colour that's not in play on the dark spaces that are printed. The only exception is this bottom track. You place it on the dark spaces depending on how many players. So the first one is 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, 4 player, and then 15 is 5 player, as you can probably see there. So we're starting on 6 because we're playing a 2-player version. You then need to go and fetch the capital card. Now I know that's huge, but it doesn't fit the card, but just get the capital card and pop that on top. That can be bought by any of us at any time. Imagine that's in our hand already. We just need to buy it. And we do need to get the 4 oceans out in order to purchase it. Then off the top of the deck, you're just going to deal 2 cards into this area here. Okay, so that is everything we need. What we will do is we're going to go through the phases, really kind of describe them to you as best as we can so you guys know what's going on. But just remember, we need to complete our milestones, we need to build our stronghold, we need to get all 3 of the tracks up, all 9 ocean tiles out, and we need to get 75 citizens. The citizens will change depending on how many players, but for us it's 75. Wow, here we go. So we're going to get on and play. We've dealt our 10 cards. I've bought these 4. Jade has already bought hers. So again, we've kind of done these just to kickstart us into the video a little bit quicker. So what we can do here, it's not a reference sheet. I do realise that. But on here, on one page, is the order of things. It's not the best laid out rulebook. There are some alterations in there. So you can see that this bit has been crossed out. And there is a big change list at the back of the rulebook. It's not in the best order, but if you've got the time to read it or the time to watch this video, you will definitely pick up. It's really easy to get a hold of as you get playing. So now we are set up, we are ready to play. There are some notable changes in there, but apart from what's listed here, you play everything as if it were a normal Terraforming Mars game. First thing we do there, it says player order phase. After moving the generation marker 1 step, increase the attrition. Now, because it starts on 1 for the setup, we don't increase the attrition. The attrition is down here. We'll get to that when that happens on the next turn. Draw 2 cards and pop them in this area. We've done that as well. But then we need to place some discount on it. So, looking at this earth track here, wherever this marker is, at the moment it's on 10, that is the discount that you're going to get to put on this card. So at the moment, we've got 10 and 10 discount. It does make this one free, because 8 minus 10 is minus 2, so that's a freebie. And this one becomes 1. These are as if they are in players' hands, so they're really good to buy if they're of any use. However, you do still need to go via the restrictions printed on the card. Now, the next round we'll get another 2. We can either decide to exchange them for these and put on the new wherever the marker is, or we can keep these or keep 1 or whatever we want to do, and then we put further discounts depending on where that track is. However, the earth track will go down, so just bear that in mind, that it's not always going to be on 10 or more. Right, that said, that's that done. We would do the drafting, but obviously we don't because we've done our 10 cards already. And then we can go into the action phase as normal. We can do actions like the normal game. I'm doing this assuming that you guys have played the base game and that you know what's going on. So we're not going to go into card details. We're just going to go into the cooperative details for this game. Now, as I stated at the beginning of the game, there is no end game scoring. So cards such as these are not worth negative points, nor plus points. You'll just be doing it for the benefit. So actually, this card becomes very strong in this because I won't get the minus 2 points. I will just gain 2 income. However, because these don't mean points, it's just income. That's all I'm getting. It's essentially the same as getting 2 money. So yeah, some of the cards have different meanings, so to speak, but they're played the same nonetheless. So they are my cards to start. I've got the first player marker. Shall I go ahead and get us started, Jade?
Yes, you should.
Now, just to let you also know, this is my hand, so I can use the camera. Anything I buy is going to go into this area here. As you can see, I've got a nice wide area ready for cards to go. So I'm going to have a look at what's in the middle here. I can't buy any of those because I haven't got the matching cards. Can't buy that because we haven't got the oceans out. So I'm going to come over here and hope that I can build something from here. I haven't got 4 science tags, so I need science tags. Oh, wow. Okay, what do I do? I'm going to go ahead and start this. I'm going to get some discount for events. So, as normal, I will spend my 6 money to the supply and put that into play. Every time we play a tag that matches one of these 4 up here. Now, that's not a tag. This is just to say about the first player marker. But these 4 tags up here, as you can see, I've played an earth tag. So what that does is that pushes that up to 11 every time we play an Earth Tag, including if they were on an event. So you can see in a minute that I've got an event coming with one of those. Then I get my second action, which I am going to then do this. So I spend my 7, as normal. Jade, would you mind putting me up 2 on the income track, which she's going to do over there. Fantastic. And because it was an event, I get 3 money back. And these event cards, just put face down, say you spent them, but they do not have any use on them now. The only other thing is it did have an Earth Tag, so the Earth Tag will go up to 12. Right, then it's on to Jade's turn. So what are you going to be up to?
Okay, so first I'm going to play this card, which means I have to have at least 25 terraforming.
Yeah, which is, yeah, we started with that at the beginning of the game.
So I've got to spend 8 for that.
Sure.
Okay, and that gets me 4 money income.
Brilliant. That's a nice little start for you.
Yeah. And it pushes
and it's an
up.
Earth Tag. Brilliant. So 3 Earth Tags on the first go. That means we're going to get some big discounts down here, because this track goes down for every one of the 4 areas we did not up that round. So for example, if we did not up the Venus track, the temperature, the oxygen, nor did we put an ocean tile out, that's going to go down by 4. So we kind of want to get these up to keep the Earth Tags up, but something else happens and you've got to keep watching, because yeah, this is really hard.
Okay, and then my second card, I'll spend 2 to play this one, which is look at the top 3 cards from the deck, take one of them into hand and discard the other 2.
Sure. Right, and just to note there that Jade has played a science tag. So while you're choosing your card, I'm going to explain to these guys how the science track works. So you'll notice there are 2 tracks. What this means is every time you play a science tag, you move the bottom one. So this is going from 0 to 1. If we were to play another science tag, it will go up to 2 and so forth. As soon as it hits 5, it instantly goes back down to 0, and then we can put this up to 1. The top track. What the top track does is it reduces the cost of standard projects, either from here, on Venus, or over on the main board. It reduces it by that amount. So as soon as that becomes a 1, this is 19 to get 4 citizens. If we manage to get that all the way to the end of the 6, then it will be reduced by 6. That's very unlikely, because that means we've got to play 30 science tags. Not impossible, but we've got other things to do to beat this. Okay, so this moves up to 1. Right, so now Jade has played that card. You've done 2 goes, haven't you?
Yes,
yep.
I have, yeah.
So it's back to myself. I think I might get this into play so I can start doing it. So I'm going to spend 8 monies and yeah, put this into play. The reason why I do want this is because we do want to get that track up eventually. So I'm going to start working towards these floaters. We need 7 floaters as one of the milestones. So I might as well go ahead as my second action, spend 2 money and put a floater on this card. In fact, I'm going to put floater cards just over to one side. So I've got 1. That's going to build up very slowly, unless I get some extra cards, but hey ho. That's my 2 actions. So Jade, it's back to you.
It's back to me. Right, so I will play this, put this into play, so that makes my space tags 2 cheaper.
Cool.
And that costs me 10.
Yep. And so we have a space tag that you've played. Unfortunately, there is nowhere for it to go. So on the top there it says every time we play a space tag, we get to put 1 citizen out. But citizens go into cities, and as you can see, we have not got any. They can only go on cities on Mars, so they cannot go in the cities that are out here, nor out in space, because they can't live there. They can only live on Mars. But it does mean that all of your space cards are going to be cheaper. I'm going to have to pass. So it's back to you, Jade.
I am going to pass as well.
So before we do the solar phase, we've done our production phase, and I got myself some money and plants, and Jade has got her money and her heat. Now we go on to the solar phase. It does say that you can skip the government funding if we want. I don't like to play with government funding anyway, so no, we're not going to do that one. It says here, the combat attrition. So sacrifice any number of microbes, animals or plants to reduce the attrition track. We can't, can we? We haven't.
No.
Oh, well, I've got plants. Actually, I could reduce it by 3. Otherwise, I'm going to lose them anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll spend my 3 plants and I will get that down to 3. So every plant, microbe or animal we spend, we can get that down. And now it says apply the attrition. Each player sacrifices plants, microbes in any combination equals the number on the attrition track. So it's 3. So now each of us have to get rid of that amount. Luckily, we don't have any, but it does mean that that attrition track is stuck on 3. Then we need to feed the population. We haven't got a population at the moment. Check for the end game. Obviously, we're nowhere near. Then we got to do terraforming inertia. So reduce heat, oxygen, and Venus by 1 step. So even if we had put them up, they would go back down 1 step. So you kind of want to do it 2 at a time if you're going to. And then it says here, decrease the funding for each global parameter that you didn't increase compared to its starting value during this turn. Reduce world government funding by 1 step. So we didn't do all 4. So unfortunately, we put the Earth one back down to 9.
There we go.
Now that's done, we go all the way back to the player order phase, where we're going to move the marker on to 2. We're going to put the inertia track up by 2. And I'm also going to give you the marker.
Okay.
Right, then we're going to deal 2 cards. So let's have a look at what we've got. Okay, so we need something that requires lots of heat. I don't think we're going to go for that.
No.
Are we going to bother putting this out?
Oh, we only
It requires 3 science tags.
We're closer to getting these ones, aren't we?
However, this one does nothing for us. It just gives 2 points,
2 points doesn't
which
make
is nothing. So should we replace
Swap
this
that one out, yeah.
This one for this one. So if you don't mind getting rid of that one, we're not going to put grass out because there's no point in that. So we're going to replace that. The 10 goes back to the supply. And now what we do is we look at the number, which is 9, and we put a 9 discount on both of these. There's no point putting 9 tokens on this if it's more than the what's on the card. So I'm just going to put 11 just to note that that's as low down as it goes. But we will put 9 discount on this card here. Okay. So that now becomes a 12 card, but we still can't build it because we need more science tags. Oh, what a pain. Right, okay then. So we've done that, and now we draw our 4 cards each, and we're going to draft these quickly. We are allowed to state, before we draw these 4 cards, we're allowed to state what we're after. As soon as we get our cards, we cannot communicate. So it's a case of we just draft and hope that we kind of give over cards that maybe aren't useful for us. You've really got to read what the other player is doing. So I'm just looking at these. See, this one looks useless, but actually I might want to play it because it's cheap and it's got 2 tags, which will help me on there. So actually, I think I might go for that one, and I'm going to get rid of those 3. Okay, so we've finished Generation 2. I've managed to get a city out. Now, just a little advice, if you do play this, don't put your cube in the middle, put it to the top, because you're going to need room to put citizens. When we put citizens out, we're going to be putting cubes just underneath, and it's just easier to do that than having your colour in the middle. Just a small tip. So I've just played a card here that's got a science and a space tag on, and I've put my science tag up as normal, and I'm getting a citizen. So you simply get one of the cubes and put that in the city. Now, it doesn't mean that he's going to stay there. Yes, it's one of our 75 as our end game, but we need to make sure he's fed. So at the end of a round, we're either going to have to get rid of plants to feed him, or we need to get farms and oceans around so that it is fed each round. That's almost, if I had a greenery tile or an ocean tile next to it, it's almost like a permanent food source for it each round. So I'm going to need to get a farm nearby very soon. Then we need to feed the population. So we actually have a population of 3 now. We need to get rid of 3 plants between us. Now, it could just be me, however, I've got the bonus of plants. So shall I get rid of 2 and you get rid of 1?
Yep.
Yeah, and then that means those people are fed. If we couldn't feed them, we'd lose them. So we really want to keep a hold of them for as long as we can. Okay, so I'm going to spend 30 and I'm going to put this into play. This is the first Jupiter tag we have. So I'll spend the 30. And what we will do is we'll put out our citizen as normal. So he will go out into the city. And then we need to up the Jupiter track. This is the only track that we haven't talked about. So this will go up here. And what this will mean is all space cards have got that as a money reduction from now on. The higher this goes, the cheaper the space cards will become. It will add on to Jayde's bonus of -2 space cards as well. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. So Jayde has gone ahead and put a greenery tile out, and what this means is, obviously we put the oxygen up and she gets a point as normal, but it does mean that one of our citizens is going to be permanently fed each generation, and we can spend plants to pay for the other 3. Jayde is going to pay for this card here, so it's only going to cost her 18 minus the 2 and then minus another 2, so it's actually a 14 card she's going to spend there. I'm going to pop that away. Firstly, we need to up the Venus track by 3 as normal, and obviously Jayde gets 1, 2, 3 points. But we've got another space tag. Now this is really important because as she plays this space tag, we're going to add another citizen. Now each city can only hold 5 citizens. So as soon as we got 5, that's as much as we can fit in there. We need to start another city. That's why it makes you build. The only exception to cities of the limit is if we have the capital city. There is no limit to the amount of citizens we can have in there. However, bearing in mind that wherever you build the capital, you can only surround it by up to 6 other tiles that will feed. So say if you had 10, 6 of them could potentially get fed. You'd still have to pay each round for the other 4. So far, we have covered everything that is different within the cooperative version of Terraforming Mars. We're going to carry on playing, and we're going to let you know if we won or lost at the end of the video, and we'll give our opinions on what we think of the game itself. Two and a half hours, and we lost by 6 citizens. We've done everything else. 6 citizens. It's always the way, isn't it?
6.
Well, anyway, we had a lot of fun with that game. It's tough, though. What do you think about the cooperative version?
I think it was very challenging working together.
Well, oh, yeah, working with you. Do you mean the game or working with me?
Well, a bit both.
Whatever, right? Yeah, okay. But it is complicated. I mean, we had to keep track on the order of things. There isn't a proper reference card. There's not a proper... You have to go between the rulebook and the printout, so it can get a little bit confusing. That's what took up most of the time, actually, isn't it?
Making sure we move up on all the bars and down all the bars.
Yeah, keeping track of everything. But I'd like to see it developed into a proper expansion.
Yes.
Yeah, officially designed. Not that the design's bad, but the rulebook is quite hard to follow. But it's a bit of a time hog, like the base game, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not as good as the normal Terraforming Mars by any means. Obviously, the competitive version is far better. We really enjoy the competitive version, but it's a nice variation to have. And as we said, if only it was a real version.
It might be better having it more players.
Yeah, we've only played it with... We have done it with 3.
Okay.
And we've done it as a 2.
Yes.
So we haven't played it with 5. Although that's quite difficult in conditions right now, but maybe at some point when it's safe to do so, we can get a 5-player game of this going. But yeah, I'm really am enjoying this variation, and I'm really amazed that it's a fan-made version. So I know there was a lot going on there, so what you guys need to do, if you've got any questions, follow me on Facebook, on Twitter and on Instagram. Feel free to comment on any of those, and if you've got any questions, or you can put it in the comments below, but you've got to subscribe first, otherwise I might not respond to you. I'm only joking, of course I will, but it would be really helpful if you guys do subscribe. But we are going to do a very sad salute for this one. Goodbye and catch you on the next video.
Bye.